Good evening, my friends. Hope you guys are doing well and that everyone had a good trading day. It is Monday, November 2nd, and I am coming at you all with another daily market profile recap for the ES futures market. So for those of you who are not familiar, I post these trade plans in our Facebook group every single day for free, and you can find a link in the description below to join the group. For those of you who are familiar, let's get right into the key levels. So today I was looking at a few key levels: 33.33, 33.22, 33.10, 32.96, and 32.90. Now, not a ton of news events to talk about, just manufacturing PMI, which is pretty minimal compared to election week that we've got going right now. So with that said, as I mentioned in my video last night, I did indeed take it slow, sized down a little bit, and just kept less risk in the market in general today, which I will be doing throughout the week. So with that said, let's discuss my thoughts for today's session. So in the morning, I woke up and I noticed that overnight inventory was long. I noticed that we were also looking to open above value, but inside the range from the overnight session. Now, opening above value, but inside range means that we were opening above the value area for the previous session, but we were also opening within the range for the previous session. So what that means is typically the market is still relatively balanced, but it is not as convincing as when we are opening up within range and value. So with that said, the overnight inventory still was imbalanced slightly to the long side. Now, because overnight inventory was imbalanced to the long side, you can see settlements down here. And for those of you who are not familiar, inventory is long when we are above settlement. Inventory is short when we are below settlement. So you can see that the majority of the overnight profile here is above the October 30th settlement price at 32.6475. Therefore, overnight inventory is majority long. So when overnight inventory is majority long, what do we look for? We look for pressure to the downside. So if I zoom in here to today's profile, you can see that O period right here, we opened up 33.02. So we opened up within the range from last night, right? But we opened above value. You can see the outside of the value area is shaded. So if I make the profile a little bit smaller, you can see value area low is basically right here. There's only one print that's not shaded, but up here, this is above value, right? So value area highs right here, value area lows right here for the overnight, and we are opening above value. We're also opening above range from Friday's session, which is interesting. So with that, I was looking for downside pressure. So you can see we got our open here. We did move up upon open in B period, and then we proceeded to make our way down after peaking above the overnight high at 33.2250. So leading into talking about this level, my thoughts were we were looking to open above value, but in range from the overnight session. Today, I was looking for acceptance above the overnight high at 33.22. You can see that right here. So just to show you guys on the profile, today looking for acceptance above the overnight high at 33.22. Since overnight inventory is long, I will be looking for the higher probability play, which is for New York session to fade the overnight to the downside. That means overall getting downside pressure upon open if we cannot hold 33.2250 to the upside. My thoughts for the upside were if price could hold that level and use that as support, I would be looking to take longs from that level to higher levels of profiles from last week, more specifically the 28th and the 29th. Now, if price could not hold above that level, I would be looking for downside, targeting levels from the overnight profile, the 28th and the 29th to the downside. So you can see moving back into the profile that we did indeed move up. So I'll zoom in here a little bit. So you can see we opened up here. We ranged in B period, basically between the value area high at 33.08 and very close to the value area low and what ended up being the initial balance low, which is the low for the first hour of the session. So after ranging a bit in B period and finding some value in this area, we snuck up in D period and peaked above the high of the overnight session. And you can see the overnight session right here at 33.2250. This was my line in the sand today, just to make that very clear. Our high today was 33.2350. So we just got 1 point above the overnight high last night and got rejection. So you can see that we got rejected in D period, leaving a single print selling tail, which means sellers from the other time frame, higher time frame sellers, bigger players, if you will, got interested in selling because they thought that price was overvalued above the overnight high. So when you see a single print selling tail at the top of a profile, a lot of times that will offer up good selling opportunity and typically short scalps. But often if you can catch a move that essentially peaks above the high and rejects, that is a very, very nice setup, and it's a very high probability profile play as well. So look for this as well. We had it happen a couple times last week. I mentioned it in previous videos, so you can see here, this was Friday. Friday we did the same thing. Overnight high, 32.90, peaked above in B period, so we opened, moved above, got rejected, left that single print selling tail, and moved down. Previous day, we did the opposite. Let me see if we'll be able to see it. Yep. So previous day, we peaked below the overnight low. You can see that. We left a single print buying tail. You can see that, B period. And then we moved up. So this is a really, really cool strategy based on market profile, based on the reaction to the overnight high, the overnight low, etc., where you can determine really high probability plays, because on this trade, you could have risked 5 ticks technically, and you would have had downside targets of 19, 10. If that wasn't formed yet, then you had 96 and 90, and we hit all of those. So really, really cool. The profile is just extremely powerful, and it's one of the reasons why I use it so much and I put so much weight on it, because it just gives us such significant edge that most retail traders, they don't take the time to look into these things. They don't take the time to understand order flow and really how powerful this information can be. So I use that to my advantage, because most retailers lose. So I use this to tell me where the bigger players that mostly win are going to be interested in getting into trades, getting out of trades, etc. So with that said, let's dive back on over to the trade plan and discuss the scenarios. So I was thinking upon open, I'll be looking to see if we could get acceptance above that 33.2250 level, which was that overnight high from the most recent session. And if we could hold above that level, then I would be looking for a move back into those higher profile levels from last week and our weekly profile. If we could not hold above that level, then I was going to be looking for shorts back down towards the overnight profile levels and levels from Thursday and Friday. So with that, the summary says, if ES moves and holds above 33.2250 on open, I was going to target 33.25, 28.25, 33.75, 33.56, and 33.63. So on the downside, I was looking towards the 33.1975 level, the 33.1075 level, 32.9625, 32.9075, and 32.71. So now let's look at the profile itself, and we'll see how many of those got hit. So just to reiterate what happened, the price opened around this 33.02 level. We ranged between value area high and the initial balance low for a little bit. We moved up in D period, peaked above the overnight high at 33.2250. This was my line in the sand, just to reiterate, as you guys saw on the trade plan. I'll show you again, 33.2250 here. So that level is this level right here. We could not move and hold above that level, so the downside targets that were hit are as follows. First downside target hit, 33.1925. 33.1925 is the value area high from the regular trading hour session of October 29th, and that was hit very quickly in D period after that move. So after that, my next level to the downside was actually 33.1075. This was the overnight high from the session in October 29th. So third downside target after these two were hit in D and E period, I believe. Yep. Third downside target was 32.9625. So you can see 32.9625 was the regular trading hours high from October 30th. Very similar session to today's, where we peaked above in B period and then moved down and filled out this lower value area for the remainder of the session. So those were hit. It took a little bit for these last two to get hit. They got hit in the later morning, earlier afternoon part of the session. And my final downside target was actually this 32.71 level, the overnight POC. And you can see that today's low was 1 point above the overnight POC. By no coincidence, I will add. And you can see that we also had an overnight POC from the 30th at 32.7025. So this was a major level, and we got really, really close to smacking that last downside target within 1 point. So hopefully anybody who's holding, to that target, or taking scalps from, maybe value area low down to range low, or down to this level right here, hopefully they took profit, 1 point above the intended target. But nonetheless, this is how things turned out today. We had a really, really nice structure on the profile. Again, just orderly. We peaked above the high, just like we did here. Peaked above the high just a little bit by 1 point, got shoved down, filled out this area nicely, which offered up some really good trade opportunity. So you guys can see here when I pull up my profile next to my candle chart that these profile levels, they line up so nicely with major areas of price action, and a lot of time other areas that give you further confluence. So just as an example, the current low for the overnight session right now is 33.0250. If I put my mouse right here, 33.0250, you can see on the left side of my chart, guess what that lines up with? The opening range high for the 1 minute of New York session. So let's see, another example. If I put my cursor right here, 32.9975, what does that line up with? Oh, the opening range low of New York session. If I put my cursor right here, 32.89, this is the initial balance low of today's session. Look what it lines up with. Fibonacci pivot point. Let's see, value area low for today. Guess what that is? That's also the high for London opening 1 minute range. So it's beautiful when you start to notice the confluence. It gives you confidence, no pun intended, to take these trades over and over again. You'll see, oh, I got a session low at previous opening range high. That's going to be a major level of interest. I have a value area low at London opening range high. That's going to be a major area of interest. I have Fibonacci pivot point at initial balance low. That's going to be a major area of interest. So it's really cool to get all of this perspective and strengthen your trade idea significantly. I can go on for days where, I zoom out and you see that profile levels, they line up with major areas of support and resistance, things like that, like right here. Let's see what we got. So this is London opening range. Got right here, we got a value area low, so you can see that was a major level over here. And again, guys, this is not a coincidence. Range low, matching up again with London opening range high, matching up with a VWAP band. There's just a tremendous opportunity when you can really allow yourself to use all of these tools together as one, instead of taking bits and pieces and not having a cohesive picture of what the market is trying to do. That is really where market profile shines, in my opinion. With market profile, within the first minutes of the session, you can have ideas and probability shifted in your favor based on what kind of open it is. Whether we open in range and in value, or in range and outside of value, or outside of range and value. Those types of profiles and those types of opens can give us information to determine, okay, well, if we open in range and in value, then we're most likely getting accepted at this price. And as I mentioned last night, there has not been much sentiment change from the previous session. So at that point, we are waiting for new price information to essentially establish a new idea other than okay, price is just going to range back and forth because we're in value and we're getting accepted in this area. So very high probability ideas and ways that you can really just drop a bias. You don't need to have a bias when you use market profile, because you can say, okay, if we hold above this level, then we're going to see this, this, and this to the upside. And if we hold below this level, then we're going to see this, this, and this to the downside. And it becomes a game of probabilities and a game of just keeping those probabilities in your favor instead of, oh, I think it's going to go up here, let me go long. That's not a strategy. Use the tools that are available to you to your advantage, because you really can gain a significant edge, especially using something along the lines of a market profile in combination with a candlestick chart, whether you're doing it next to each other like this, or whether you're just using the good old profile by itself and a Superdome. Lots of information, and you can use many different types of confluence. You don't need fancy indicators if you don't want to use them. I use them because they help me make more granular decisions. I see, for instance, a profile level. Just to give you guys an idea, I see a profile level like this. Let's say we're looking at this initial balance low that coincides with the pivot point. Then all I'm looking for are my oscillators to show me that we're gaining upside momentum at that big level, right? You can see that the oscillators here, they're getting caught at the mid-level, which is showing us that the sellers do not have enough power to push the oscillators down past the mid-level into the bearish control zone. That is an indication of possible upside potential. When I see this in combination with a profile level, all I have to do is literally just put my mouse right there. Then I look down, look at the oscillators, I see what I want to see, and I enter the trade. It's not more complicated than that. When you have a set of systematic rules, of the technical factors that you can use over and over again in your favor, it doesn't need to be complicated. We keep it simple. Most of the best traders that you will talk to will probably tell you that they use a very simple method, and that's how they stay successful. With all of that said, I want to thank you guys again for being a part of the Trading Network and for taking the time to watch these videos. I really enjoy making them, and if you guys enjoy watching them, even a fraction of how much I might enjoy making them, please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button below and join our free Facebook group where you can grab the free trade plans that you saw in this video every single day. You can find that information in the description below, along with a link to our website, thetradingnetwork.io, where you can get access to one-on-one mentorship with me. You can get access to our private Discord channel, where you can watch me trade Monday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern. And you can also get access to our proprietary indicator package, many of the indicators which you see in this video. With that, thank you guys again, and I will see you tomorrow for the next video.